Sergeant Walco on its way to the Christ Our Savior Orthodox Church. They just brought the hearse with its motorcycle rider escort in front of the station there. So they're on the way to the service at the Christ Our Savior Orthodox Church. They'll be back in Indiana, and they're talking between 11:15, 11:45, I believe, as they will be getting to Oakland Cemetery for the interment ceremony for Private Walco. So very meaningful. It is 8:13 in the morning. It's Indiana in the morning on WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, WCCSradio.com. Kind of appropriate that we talk about something as meaningful as that ceremony, which will be taking place later today on the same day that across the street at the Jimmy Stewart Museum, they will be talking today about the making of the movie Jimmy, which is all about Jimmy Stewart's military career, and it just seems to come full circle. And so that event will be happening today. The museum is going to open at noon today. There is a news conference scheduled for 11 o'clock, not open to the public, as they have the actor who will portray Jimmy Stewart, KJ Apa, will be there. There goes the service dog.
There's the actor.
Be part of it. Yeah. It is going to. There is KJ Apa going in right now. The director of the movie is a part of this as well. We're going to talk about all that. Carson Greene is in the studio with us here this morning. Carson Greene, of course, a longtime connection to the Stewart family. Our visit is presented by Marcus and Mack, voted the best law firm, best personal injury lawyer 4 years in a row, and the best of Indiana County contests. Visit them online at marcusandmack.com. Carson has with him today, I think you brought that here once before as well. That is Jimmy Stewart, so you can hold it up to the camera there. Explain exactly what that is.
Okay. A few years ago, when Judy and Kelly Stewart were here visiting, we were in the car, and we were talking about Jimmy and his career, and we talked about his flying career, and I mentioned to Judy and Kelly that I learned to fly airplanes back in 1960 down in Fayetteville, West Virginia, and I always admired his flying career. And I mentioned the fact that I always enjoyed the movie It's the Spirit of St. Louis. And so about a week later, I get a package in the mail, and there's a letter from Judy, Kelly, and Michael saying that they wanted me to have this tie clasp. It belonged to their father. It was given to Jimmy in 1935 by Leland Hayward when Jimmy received his private pilot license. And there was a picture of Jimmy and Gloria at the one of the restaurants, and Kelly had written on the picture, "Notice Dad's tie clasp." So this is a gold propeller tie clasp. And so I looked around, and sure enough, if you see pictures of Jimmy without a tux, he has this particular propeller on. And back in 1983, when Jimmy came to Indiana for his 75th birthday, I happened to be blessed to have had him at the water plant to cut a ribbon. And I looked at the pictures when he was there, and he had this tie clasp on in 1983. And little did I know, in 1983, the family would present this to me. And I must say that when I received this, I did get teared up that they would think that much of me to gift this to me. So one of these days, this will probably end up at the Jimmy Stewart Museum.
Yeah.
So that's sort of the quick story of how I received this. And I don't wear it very often, except I go to church. I don't wear a suit very often, except church. So that's when I wear this.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. All right. So today at the museum, the news conference at 11 o'clock. The museum will open at 12 with the brand new exhibit, which features many of the props and costumes from the new movie Jimmy that is coming out. They're going to show the new trailer as well. And then a meet and greet with KJ Apa, who portrays Jimmy in the movie. The director of the movie, Aaron Burns, we just saw them walking into the museum. And we also saw Jimmy the service dog with the Warrior Canine connection going in. Kelly Stewart Harcourt will be there. In fact, she'll be here on Indiana in the morning an hour from now. But, Jimmy Stewart Museum always does things well for Jimmy Stewart's birthday, and you can get your Harvey cookies today, just as always. But, Carson, you were there right at the beginning. So was I in my own tiny little way.
You were about this tall, yes.
Not that beginning. For the museum, when it opened in 1995, they came to the radio station and they asked me if I could put together all of the sound from Jimmy's movies.
Yes.
And so back then we were editing by slicing tape, actually. And so I spliced together all of the different sound cuts that were going to be used for the opening of the museum. And it was a really, really special event. And you were not only right there, you were very much involved in the opening of the Jimmy Stewart Museum.
Yes, I was sort of looking back and adding up the numbers. I was involved with the Jimmy's birthday celebration in 1983 when he agreed to cut a ribbon at the water plant. I was the manager of the water company, and we had done some renovations to the plant, which totaled about $3 million. And I'd written a letter to Linda Moore Mack, who was the chairperson of the Jimmy's birthday committee, and asked if he would be interested when he came to town for his birthday, would he be interested in maybe touring the water plant? And I really didn't think he would respond to that. Why would he want to see a water plant? Well, Linda sent this request to Jimmy along with other requests because his time was limited, of course, on that weekend. He couldn't go everywhere. Well, he accepted the invitation to come to the water plant. And I said to Linda, why would he want to see a water plant? She said, well, he said to me, water touches everyone. And I thought that was something. He was concerned about helping everyone, not just one individual. So I said, well, we'll host him. And sure enough, on May the 20th, 1983, he came to the Tula Creek water plant, cut a ribbon. And at that time, we didn't know what to give him as a gift for coming down there. But anyway, we had found the water meter that served his father's hardware store, the actual water meter. And we had that sent to a place in West Virginia, had it bronzed, and presented that to him. It was bronze, but we also made it into a lamp. And the family told me that he used that lamp every day in his office. And then later, after Jimmy passed away, the family notified me and wanted to know if I wanted that lamp back. So, I mean, it's just crazy. So in 1983, we met Jimmy. And then, little did I know, 12 years later, that I'd get a call from Jay Rubin and say, hey, you want to help me start a museum? I said, I'm a water man, not a museum man. And anyway, we got together. And so over the years, I guess it's been over 43, 46 years, I've been involved with this museum. And I'm so proud of that. They have brought so much to our county, and they brought so much to keeping Jimmy's legacy alive. And I'm just so proud of what they've done. And they have an outstanding board now. I'm no longer on the board. I'm called Chairman Emeritus. The only thing I get from that's a free lunch at board meetings. But anyway, I appreciate that. So I'm very happy with what's going on. And today, I hope a lot of people get out to see this exhibit. I mean, not often do you get a chance to meet Kelly and people who are involved with the movie making here. We, as you all know, we used to bring a lot of actors and actresses in here each year, but quite frankly, a lot of them have passed away. It's pretty hard to find people who work with Jimmy at this point in time. But
but it was a really special day when they opened that museum, and you recognized all of the hard work that went into making it happen, and understood as well that none of it happened without Mr. Stewart himself. Endorsing, and not only endorsing, but contributing to the museum in a number of different ways, in the exhibits and down through the years. As Kelly was telling me the other day, this museum is rare in that it has lasted as long as it has. Other museums haven't, because as the stars begin to fade and people begin to forget their movies, which is apt to happen in today's day and age. John Wayne's museum closed. John Wayne.
John Wayne, the Duke.
I mean, and the great old movie stars. So for this one to not only survive but to thrive the way that it has, be as vibrant as it has, speaks to the leadership here and how many people care about it and what its role is in Indiana County, not only in the tourism industry, but really in the culture of Indiana.
Absolutely. You know, when we first approached Jimmy about a museum, he said no. And I guess the reason he gave was he did not deserve a museum. Well, the committee came back and talked about this, and we came up with the idea. Well, it was a fact at that point in time, the coal mines were starting to shut down. We were losing a lot of jobs in the area. So went back, made the presentation. If you could have a museum, we would draw people into the area, which would help the economy.
Mm-hmm.
And that rang a bell with Jimmy. If we could help the economy, because there again, just like the water comment, that helps everyone. So then he agreed to it, and we were able to put together a team of board of directors, and we had no money. The quote old Votech school did the renovations there at the library building right across the street, and the borough let us use that building to start the museum. And again, we had no money. The two banks in town were very generous. They helped us out, and the board members would work and that sort of thing. So finally, we got her off his feet. And that's one thing I wanted to mention. Sometimes we forget who came before us. I'm not saying me, but I'm saying, you know, we had to stand on someone else's shoulders to get that museum to where it is today. It's outstanding. The exhibits are fine, outstanding. We have outstanding directors and that sort of thing. But someone came before those folks, and those folks should be recognized and honored also, because it was not easy.
Mm-hmm.
But today, like you say, how many museums last this long? And this one keeps growing and growing and growing.
Yeah.
Again, I can't say enough for the current leadership. Keith Rick is doing an outstanding job. The board's doing an outstanding job. I attended a board meeting a couple of days ago, and I'm just so excited to hear what's going on at that museum. And I'm 81 years old. I've sort of hit my point, and I really appreciate being involved. But it's in a new era now, new hands,
Yeah.
and it's moving forward, and we love that.
I was standing on the corner here with Kelly yesterday, and we were waiting for the light to change, and she really wanted to hear her dad's voice sending people to cross the street. Of course, Rich Little did those voices for the crossing of the street. When the light did change, the traffic was so loud you couldn't hear it.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to take credit for anything, but I suggested that to Rich one day. We were getting ready to cross the street. I said, "Boy, it'd be nice if we had you doing Jimmy Stewart." And then Rich got back. He has his own studio. He says, "I'll be glad to make the thing." Of course, we had to get borough approval and all that sort of thing. But it's there today, and every time I hear that, I just chuckle. I can't believe it. It sounds just like Jimmy. So
It is good
that was a great thing that
is
Rich did for us here at the museum.
Carson, thanks so much for the visit this morning. Happy Jimmy's birthday today.
Well, thank you, and God bless you.
It is Indiana in the Morning on WCCS. Westwood One Sports.